Hey, what's up? This is Sane, and welcome to a shorter FPS tutorial this time. So, I found a way how to make a timer that can go up to 1,000 minutes or well beyond, right? So, if you can see there, my timer is at 790 minutes, but I speed up the time so I can test out the timer, right? And I think we're going to pretty much reach 1,000 minutes, so yeah, let's wait until we reach 1,000 minutes. Um, I'm just trying to mess around in the editor. I think I'm gonna remake Pikmin again after I make my Metroid Prime skill game because I found a new targeting option. It's a lot easier than the camera targeting option. So the title of this video is I'm going to be showing you how to target following animations with physical items a little bit easier and a custom timer, possibly more than 1,000 minutes. So we're just gonna see if it goes past 1,000 here, right? I had no idea that the goal was to get past 250 minutes. Now the phone's gonna go swimming, right? Because it has to ring when I'm recording all the time. The whole day it didn't ring, but it rings now, of course. Of all the times it had to ring. So if you don't want to watch this, you can skip this. But I think this is fascinating that I built a timer that can reach that length. So usually I don't put music in my tutorials because I heard it distracts people from following the tutorial. So that's why I don't put music in it. I think music is quite inspiring, so I recommend you listen to your own type of music while building and following along. So we're gonna see if we can go past 999. Yep, we went past 1,000. Straight up past 1,000. Okay, so what I did here is I made a physical sphere, right? A glued object. I glued two things together with a physical sphere. I used a directional focus, I think it's called. A directional force. Sorry, I can't see. I'm probably gonna need glasses soon. And I set the force to 40. I set the target object to the player, of course. And I glued both of these together. You can find this object under physics, and it should be called the directional force, which is another option. You could use the target, you could use object pointers, you could use directional force, and you could use the original way I did in my first person map, which you could use the camera and then trick the camera to follow something, right? With some logic. But I think this is a lot easier when it comes to physical bodies. So since I'm going to make Pikmin all over again, because my first Pikmin skill game was horrible because I used OPEs and following OPEs, and those tend to break, right? So my Pikmin skill game was alright. It was okay. It wasn't incredible or anything. You can break the game very easily. So I'm going to make another Pikmin skill game, possibly with up to 100 Pikmin, different types of Pikmin, and it's going to be a lot better. And how I did it is what sucks about the distance operator, which can be found under tools and operators, is you have to individually select each individual Pikmin. So if you wanted to create 100 Pikmin, you had to create 100 distance operators. And as well as 100 generic filters, because you want each individual Pikmin to correspond with the writers. So pretty much what's happening here is if I get in range of the writer within greater or equals or less than or greater than 4, which is pretty much a less than. I don't understand. like equation here, but it's when it reaches 4 or under 4, it will stop the force from pushing towards my rider, and anything greater than 4, okay, will just keep going. I'll automatically follow the rider. So that's pretty much the tool I'm setting up here. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You know, make sure your false is on off and your true is on. So when you are 4 meters close to the rider or less, the force will stop, and then if you're 4 meters away from the or more away from the rider, then the force will continue. So it's acting like a following animation, and you can turn this on and off dynamically. With OPs, you couldn't do that because the game breaks. I don't know why. It's a bug, but with this one, it's so consistent. The problem is the thing that I hate about the editor is there should have been an object type. And because this is only object instance, there should have been an object type. If it was an object type, then I can select every type of the sphere or a little ball or whatever. And then it will be so much simpler. And then I can have like thousands of Pikmin using only one sorry for the swear, one distance operator and one generic filter, right? The reason why I did swear there, because it gets kind of annoying because the object distance operator is only object instances, not object types. So then you have to do one for each individual player, right? Instead of object types for 100 players straight. And what I did for the timer is which I will separate this video into 2 chapters then, of course, because it's the first chapter is the targeting, and then the second chapter is the timer. So the timer, what I used is to test, you want to set to the highest value. I found out that if you go to 300,000, you see it's a lot. I can't really see that well. Yeah, so if you're around 300,000, if you play around this number range, you can get close to an accurate number of time, like milliseconds, seconds, whatever. It goes to the amount of time when it comes to real life. You understand? I think this is an infinite timer because the duration is 15,000 and this is max. But if you go under tools and you go to operations, you could use an add operator, right? So what I did is I pressed Y, I selected a variable data source for the duration, I set the duration to 15,000, right? And then I went to the add value, I selected operand 1 from the data source, and I told it to go from add to multiply by 100, and see 100 is the max value. Can't go any higher than that. Anything lower starts to make the number lower. Okay, so 100 is the max value you see here. So we're adding 15,000 multiplied by 100, and we will get 15 million, which is, I think, the max number for the editor, I think, because if I go into HUD menus, which is the primary score here, and I select another primary score target, I think the max we will go is to 15 million anyway. That's the max value here. So you have, 1 5 and 6 zeros. Yep. So the max score value in trials is 15 million and then negative 15 million. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't go above that number, maybe because you'll fuck up the editor. I don't know what the reason was to lock this number at 15 million. I'm guessing it's because who the hell is going to go beyond 15 million? Who knows what this timer limit is? Like, you can make a timer more than 1,000 hours, right? Maybe 15 times 15,000 times 100 equals 15 million. Equals that into time frame. That's probably, I don't know how many hours. You could do the math if you want. I'm not that big of a math whiz, but you can do the calculation yourself. You're probably going to break your calculator, but that is the equation there. So if you want to make an infinite timer, and then the good thing about this is you can stop this timer whenever you want. So if you wanted to make like a pause menu or an inventory menu, or you can select your magic or your mana or whatever, what type of game you're making, like a poker game, whatever, you can stop the timer and then begin the timer again. If you wanted to make a racing game with different lap times, remember, you can only have up to 6 values on the HUD. That's the limit, unfortunately, right? So you can have up to 5 laps, and then the 6th lap is going to be your total time, right? So when you're finished one lap, you can stop the timer. So let's just, what I wanted to add is you remember that skill game that Pandas for Life or whatever his name is made? The speedrunner, the ninja, whatever he is. He made like a track where you have to beat each like checkpoint within a certain time limit. What he could have done there is only made 5 checkpoints on the track, and then every time you finish the track, it counted down the time like an actual timer, so you know how many seconds it takes to finish the checkpoint, to give you more of a visual representation of what you're doing, right? And I feel like if you did that, then the track would be better. Or maybe you can follow this video and then make a fixed version and then apply it to that, and with this type of setup, he doesn't even have to use the duration or whatever. You can just use the default, because the default goes up to 1 hour. If you want to extend the 1 hour, then you have to put it to 15,000, which then maybe goes over 250. Maybe it stops at 250, but then if you want to go over, you have to use a multiplier tool script, and then you can multiply 15,000 by multiply it to 100 to reach 15 million, what then reaches, I don't know, like 10,000 hours or a million hours. Who knows how many hours you can get. But I'm Sin the Legend, and that is my 13-minute tutorial on how to create multiple physical targeting objects following a rider and stopping them, and creating a timer that's pretty much infinite if you think about it. And I'm just gonna say create a timer more than 1,000 hours or more, I would say. So that's really about it. So I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this. And I'm Sin Legend, and that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. I definitely learned something. I couldn't sleep. I was kind of depressed, and I kind of did this, and I figured something out, which was pretty cool. And I'm probably going to make a skill game about it, which is pretty awesome. So I'm going to save this logic, and I'm going to call it 1, 2, 3 timer and following. And it should be right there. 1, 2, 3 timer and following. Pretty much it's going to be called Timer and Following. So the next editor tutorial I'm going to do is a full third-person setup. I'm definitely going to put the new timer in there as well, the specific timer that I used right here. I'm probably going to put the checkpoint system in there like I did in the first person. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm just going to go straight into the first person setup, and then I'm going to do the timer and the HUD, the checkpoints, and I'm going to combine the third person with the first person that we did, and then create like a custom character swap. And that's pretty much going to be the final tutorial for a while. And then once I get artificial intelligence working, which I really want to start doing, then I'll make a full-fledged how to make a really good artificial intelligence that can block, counter, and like kill you and do executions or whatever, like an actual AI, which I think is very possible in the editor because I think I mastered 3D orientation animations, which they're actually kind of tricky to learn. But once you memorize the 3D coordinates of the world and memorize how targeting works and locking on, you can actually get a grasp of what to do next. So the AI tutorial is going to come when I figure out all the kinks and tricks and all. I have to practice a lot. I can't just make a tutorial and just make it bad, right? My FPS tutorials is pretty good, but problem is I made a few errors here and there, and I could have been better, tweaked a little bit better. But that's all up to you. This is just a baseline tutorial. You can tweak it however you want after and make it better. So I'm Sin Legend, and that's it. I want to see more tutorials by you guys and more maps. So laters.